In 2016, I became a boomerang kid when I moved back in with my mother after separation from my wife. Uh, Not too long after I moved in with mom, I found that she had dementia and went from her saving me to me saving her. I was able to I was able to help her through the last days of her life and make it so she could stay in her home. After she passed in early 2020 during the pandemic of natural causes, actually through dementia, um, I was alone in her house. And as a way to cope, I began running and exercising. Um, and as a tribute to her, a woman who was a East Providence townie, grew up her whole life in East Providence, lived within 1 mile of the city hall her whole entire life. I decided to do an all street run of the city of East Providence, the city I grew up in. Didn't live my whole life here. I moved away for a bit, but I decided to run every single street as a way to kind of an homage to mom, but a way to cope during the pandemic, both mentally and physically, and to just reflect. And it was an amazing experience that I got to reconnect to the city of my childhood and ran through from the northern line of Pawtucket all the way down to the terrace in Riverside and rediscovered a wonderful city, a historic city. Uh, I did this by downloading the maps from the town website. I chunked up the city into bite-sized 3 to 6 mile runs. I gave the runs titles because as I ran them, they all seemed to have a theme. The very first run was I called it Lost in the Bucket. As everyone knows, any good native Rhode Islander knows, our affectionate nickname for the city of Pawtucket is the Bucket. And little people know that there are 3 streets in East Providence that only way to get to them is to go through Pawtucket because there's no other connecting streets to East Providence. So those I called Lost in the Bucket. And that was quite our first run. Other runs included historic areas. King Philip's War was fought in a lot of this territory, and a lot of street names and some of the local golf course names. So King Philip's War was the name of another one. The streets right around my immediate neighborhood coincidentally had names of Red Sox players like Flynn, Rice, Hobson, Dewey. So that one was a tribute to my Red Sox heroes. I kept running all the way, made my way further south, and made it all the way to the Riverside Terrace, where I concluded on the weekend of Columbus Day, a place where Crescent Park was, a place where my parents met and had their first date. It would seem like an appropriate place to conclude the run. It was a really terrific way, and that was the weekend we actually did services for my mom. We couldn't bury her during the pandemic, so we did it that weekend. So this is kind of the arc of my talk. I have a much better script, but I wanted to give that arc and let you know how I coped with the pandemic. I do have some visual cues that I would put. There's some pictures of the town, street signs, and such. So there you have it. Maybe you'll give me a chance to do it on the TED stage.